you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to have you. I know it's like very late out there in Malaysia, but really appreciate you staying up so that you could talk to me. So I want to talk to you about a couple of things. And one of those things is life as a copywriter. But I also want to know, if you can actually earn, like a full-time income copywriting. So we'll get into that in a minute. But let's just start with you and your journey with copywriting and your life as a copywriter.
Yep, sure. So I think what's interesting about copywriting is that it fits two different parts of me that I had for a very long time. But it was in copywriting that I found these two interests intersecting. And one was my love for language, my love for words and creativity. I always wanted, when I was growing up, I had this huge imagination. I like to write. I like to express myself. And I always thought I'll be like, a starving artist or a journalist or, a street busker, because those were the kind of expressions. Like when I was studying in Melbourne, I wanted to do, jazz music at the subway, busking for dollars and everything. But I found that there was another dimension of me that couldn't be fulfilled by that creativity part, and that was money. I really, really liked money. I really like
it solves a lot of problems, money. Right?
Yes, it solves a lot of problems. And I just realized I am a capitalist. Like I was born and wired as a capitalist. And it was in learning about copywriting. And there's actually many different types of copywriting. So the type we're going to discuss today in this video session is what we call direct response copywriting. But there are many expressions of copywriting, and copywriting just means salesmanship in print. It just means you're selling something using the power of words. And companies pay top dollar for that. So I started about how many years ago now? So about 16, maybe 17, 18 years ago, I joined a company called Ogilvy. You may have heard of Ogilvy. It's like the biggest ad agency in the world. So I did a different form of copywriting then. I did TV, commercials, radio.
And this was in Malaysia?
That was in Malaysia, yep.
Yep.
Won about 12 awards. So 3 years won about 12 awards for clients like Heineken and The Economist. So I was working with very big brands, and basically was the most awarded creative during that time. And then 3 years after that, I joined a company that you probably heard of. Its name is Mind Valley.
Yep.
And I was the original copy chief of Mind Valley. And that's where I learned direct response copywriting. That means the style of copywriting where every word that you write creates a response in your client so that they will take a buying action.
Yeah.
So, and it's something I've done ever since. I mean, we diversified into the corporate digital agency space. So I actually because copywriting isn't just a vocation, it's also a skill set. It's a skill set that's transferable. That means you can transfer that skill set into various different kinds of applications. Because salesmanship in print and words also means in print and in speech. That means we're always selling something. We're either selling ourselves, we're selling our product, we're selling a service, we're even maybe selling to our wives or our kids a certain outcome that we want to happen. And copywriting gives always selling, right?
Yeah.
And copywriting is a discipline that gives you the sequence of events so that you create that outcome. You actually, I would say the word manipulate, but you influence that outcome. And I used that to great success, grew a company a multinational agency. We're in multiple countries and everything. And then the last few years, we cashed out one of our companies, went back into the direct response space as a full-time copywriter for a while. I mean, now I'm still doing copywriting, but I have my own programs and offers and everything, all using the power of copy that I have. And it's fed me really, really well ever since.
That's amazing. And you were talking about Mind Valley. Mind Valley has actually now, become quite large. And
Yeah.
you were part of like what, the founding team, like some of the early stage folks
Yeah.
who are working there, correct?
Yes, correct. So I was the very first copywriter they ever hired. So all the emails, funnels, and everything that you see right now, all the foundations were laid by me in the early days.
That's amazing. So I hear
Yeah,
a lot of people say that copywriting is a high income skill.
that's right.
And for a lot of people, they might not believe this, but some of the top copywriters out there, working only till maybe like noon every single day, they can make north of $20,000 per project for like a sales
Yeah,
letter.
yeah.
Is that true?
Oh yeah, that is true. So I mean, I'm one of them. So and there's actually stages to this, right? So there's you don't start off that way. Definitely you don't start away. It's not like you think about it and then you make $25,000 a sales letter. That's where you get to. And to reach that stage, that means your copy or your writing needs to be able to sell, to be proven to sell a lot of items or a lot of product and stuff like that. So you spend a few years. It doesn't have to be a lot of years. Like took me maybe a decade to get there, but some people, if they're focused 3-4 years, they can actually reach the stage where they command higher and higher fees. It's an interesting what I call gig economy type. I mean, if you look at freelancers and everything, not many things are paid 5 figures a project.
Yes.
Generally an article pays you $200 an article and everything. Because what you need to realize, right, is there are certain skill sets in freelancers that make more money than others. And that's because the market values these skills more than other skills.
Because think about it, right?
Yeah.
A blog article is probably not going to generate 7 figures for me, right? But a sales letter might. So if I get a sales letter that's going to make me hundreds of thousands or even $1 million, once it's launched, paying 20, 25,000 or even 50,000, it's actually a deal because it's all about the value exchange, right? You're giving me something that has the potential to create 6-7 figures in sales revenue. And in exchange for that, what I place as a value on that deliverable would be 25, 30, 50,000. But whereas if it's a blog article, it's more of like an engagement tool just to keep your email list warmed up and just to keep that mind share within the consumer. So people aren't really going to place a lot of value on that because the revenue generated from that is not a lot. Now, what's interesting is that if you're starting out, right, as a copywriter, before you actually maybe dive into writing sales letters, maybe you start by writing blog articles to get your miles in, right, your reps in. Yeah. And as you become more and more comfortable with kind of like your command of words and things like that, then you can start transitioning from a couple of $100 an article to some of the sales letters out there that pay a little bit more. But the thing with sales letters too is that people start measuring, right? To whom more is given, more is expected, right? So it's not like you just write a letter and you get the check. People actually, take the time to vet out some of your previous work. What was the conversion rate, for that page and things like that. So there is a little bit of a science to it that you're going to need to learn how to, to deliver on those types of things. So anyway, just wanted to share that thought real quick, but you can continue sharing with a little bit of the things that you were sharing. And I would like for you to also address the question of if I'm interested to become a copywriter, is there a way I can do it? Are there tools, mentors, or people that are out there that can then, probably help me get to where I need to be?
Okay. Before I address that question about mentorship and all those things, what I want to highlight is this. So we established copywriting as a high income skill. Why? Because it's about salesmanship in print.
Mhm.
But what we also need to take into account is the idea of high income vehicles. And
High
what I
income
mean
what?
by vehicles,
Uh-huh.
vehicles like a car, a ship, and everything, like a vehicle, a place that gets you from destination A to destination B.
Yep.
And so that what I usually teach my students, because I have mentoring programs and a worldwide one at this point, is you can't drive a Maserati to the moon. Yes, you can't. Like, no matter how much you pimp that car out, that Maserati up, you put noise, it's not going to go to the moon. It will get you faster from destination A to destination B on land with tarred road, but you can't go to the moon. You need a rocket ship to go to the moon.
Yep.
So that means certain wealth vehicles will take you to certain destinations, certain financial destinations.
Yep.
So the same goes so you have copywriting as a skill. So now you need to actually establish, okay, what are the wealth vehicles that I want? Because you may not want to go to the moon. Not everybody wants to go to Mars like Elon Musk, right? Like some people just are content to stay on Earth.
Yes.
Which basically means then
some are content with staying in their village.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and Kumusha, as they say, right? In Zimbabwe. Yeah. So, so some people, want a donkey as their wealth vehicle. Some, a Range Rover, and some a rocket. So, how you apply it in copywriting is basically, writing emails is a kind of a wealth vehicle, or writing YouTube or Facebook ads is a kind of wealth vehicle. That means they will deliver you a certain amount of money in exchange for what you're doing. So if you're an email writer, you will make, X amount. So you're making email full time, you might make 2, 5, 3. I mean, the top guys do make quite a bit. Like, recently one of my students closed 5-figure retainer deals. So he's making about 5 figures, doing email related stuff monthly. But that is really on the top end, but it shows you like the possibilities. So you guys, you can't writing blog posts is the kind of wealth vehicle as well. But you can never be rich writing blog posts, because your wealth vehicle for a blog post is like a donkey. It's not even as fast as a car. It gets you from destination A to B. It's a lot slower. But if you want the rocket ship, right, then you look at this thing called video sales letters, VSLs. Because the VSL is where people pay you 15, 20, 25K with. And the reason why people pay you 25K is because it's not easy to get there. Let's put it this way. Like, the more elaborate the vehicle, then it takes a bit more work. But it gives you almost that mindset, or something to work towards too. So instead of being blind, like basically, I can be a copywriter, but where the big bucks is here, then work towards this. You may not be able to make money with this immediately, because that's how it is. It takes you a while to earn your stripes. But while you're doing the blog posts and where you're doing your emails, you build up your rocket ship. So you start studying the video sales letters. You start even writing video sales letters for yourself or imaginary products and whatnot. Because you can take that imaginary portfolio and you bring it to someone and say, hey, I do not have an actual product, but this is my my style, portfolio.
This is what I can deliver.
This is what I can deliver. And sometimes people can give you a chance. So they may not pay 25K, but even they pay 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, it's still good. It's still good money. Especially in this day and age.
There's no rocket that goes without some testing that happens, right? So
yeah, correct.
It's the same thing with Elon Musk, right? Before they got ready to actually go to the moon, they had to spend a lot of time building the rocket ship, doing a lot of tests, sometimes even failing, until they were able to do that successful launch. So I think as a copywriter,
are they successful yet though? SpaceX, have they succeeded in a single launch?
It was an example. I am speaking it into existence. Because they're on the journey to do it. But
correct. That's right.
It is the same thing with the copywriter as well. I think You just need to understand that there's a process to it. But for me, one of the things I've learned in life, and I learned it from my mentor, is that if you want to achieve something in life, the quickest way you could do that is by looking for someone who's been there, done that, and they can walk you through and guide you there. And Tony Robbins is my mentor. And one of the things he always tells me is that, a mentor can compress decades into days, because they'll most likely come to you with a process, with a framework, and sometimes even a community of like-minded people that can then help you get to where you want to be much, much faster than anything. And using just cars as an example, right? If you take a Maserati, right? That's a car that's coming with a mentor. And then you take a Nissan, it's just a car without a mentor. If you were to say like, okay, drive a mile, right? The Maserati will be able to beat the Nissan, mainly because it's supercharged, it has all the bells and whistles, because you're leveraging the test of time and the success that your mentor has had in that space to make it your own. Whereas if you don't have all of that context and insight, you're not going to be that high charged, turbo fast car that enables you to accelerate from 0 to 60 in a very short period of time, and therefore get to your destination quickly, because it's all about acceleration, right? Because someone might say like, hey, I want to make $1 million, Okay, well, you can make $1 million by making $25,000 a year for 40 years.
No.
You make the $1 million. Or you can learn a skill from someone who knows how to make $1 million a month. There are people who make $1 million a month. There are people that I know that make $1 million a day. Why? Because they have a framework, they have a process, they have mentors who know how to do it, and they've been taught how to do it. And now for them, making $1 million every single day, it's like clockwork. It's like, oh, okay. It's $1 million. But for you, it's like life-changing, because you are in a vehicle, right? The donkey, where you would make that million in 25, 40 years or whatever. So tell me a little bit more about your community, because I believe that you are mentoring copywriters to then accelerate their journey to prosperity.
Yes. So I have a community, I have a movement. It's called Write Your Own Damn Check, WYODC. So that's the name of the movement. Started a few years ago in the height of COVID, because I basically galvanized a group of people to say, hey, we're sick and tired of government regulations. We do not want to be beholden to shutdowns and lockdowns and the unpredictability of the economy. And therefore, I want to empower a group of people and galvanize a community. And now it's a worldwide movement. It's an amazing thing to see on how you can write your own damn check. And it's not just copywriters. Copywriting is part of it. It's copywriters, it's business owners. A lot of the top gurus and who's who in South Asia is now in the whole world, South America, Europe, Australia, all part of this movement now. So it's amazing. It's grown in the last 2.5 years, and it's all thanks to a whole bunch of support from our mutual friends like Rich Shafran and all these other people who believe in the message and believe in the teachings, and it's grown worldwide. And I think one of the reasons why is the mentoring helps, and I spend a lot more time with people than the average so-called guru does, because I'm relational. Like, I'm not sure if you saw my recent Singapore photos. I was just with a whole bunch of my WYODC members, because I want to break bread with them and actually, see them succeed. Like, what I realized, right? Like, I think I reached an age, I turned 40 last year. So,
wiser.
And I realized wiser. I mean, it's not just wiser, but I'm more driven by significance than my own personal achievement anymore.
Mhm.
Like, there's actually not that much for me to achieve. I mean, there's still greater heights, definitely. Like, there's a growth mindset thing to it. But I think 80% of the time, I just want to see people grow. Like, I rather not flex about myself, I rather flex about the success of my community. And it's actually mind-boggling to see my principles when applied. Like, if you don't apply it, nothing will happen, right? But when it's applied, stunning things have happened. Stunning things. Like one of them, her name was Tifa, basically came into the program broke. She had to borrow money to join my program. She's like, I don't know what to do. I'm at my wit's end. COVID canceled all my my income and income sources, everything. I need to do something about it. So she took the program. She borrowed the money, took the program. She became the number one ranked writer on Upwork. So
Wow.
and then now she has more than enough. She's like traveling and all those things. Like, so, and that was in the space of just a year, or a year and a half. Like, it doesn't take long if you actually take the principles. Like I said, because it's about the vehicles, right? Like, you drive a Maserati, you get to your destination much faster. It's just that simple. You step on the brakes of a Nissan, you step on the brakes of a Toyota, you step on the brakes of Maserati or McLaren. It's almost like the mechanics are the same, but the machine is different. So and there are endless stories like that. Like one of my writers took the principles, went and worked for another company, and basically got a webinar that had like 85% show up rate or something. It was just insane. It was like a webinar with 85% opt-in rate, 75% show up rate, and
Wow.
it makes like 200,000 a day or something like that. Like,
that's what some people make in a year, right? Or some other people in a couple of years, right? If you're making 40,000, it will take you 5 years to make 200,000, and this person just made it in a day in a webinar.
So one day. And I mean, there's another story of a person who made 71% boost in sales in 24 hours. He took my program, 71% in sales increase in 24 hours. He implemented, the next day he made a 70% boost in sales.
So what are you teaching them in your program? What's in it? What's the secret sauce?
The secret sauce is I pour a lot of my own experiences into it. Like the fact is I understand human nature very well. I know neuroscience, and I know frameworks. And actually, to be fair, the secret sauce is I feel God has gifted me. I actually go to God and say, I don't know anything. I'm a foolish Malaysian boy. Give me your wisdom from heaven. And some of these things download. And the confirmation that the wisdom is actually there is when you see results. And when you see the heavy hitters like your Rich Chefrans, Mark Joyner's, Traffic and Funnels, like the big heavy hitters of the world promoting, you can say your stuff is different from everyone else. So that's a confirmation. So I'm not talking hot air. That means it's not my imagination, right? Like, if it's my imagination, people are like, this is rambling or this is inferior. But everyone say, no, this is good stuff. And what is interesting is with the copywriting frameworks that I have, like the people I grown up to respect, the people I love, like the people who are my copywriting heroes for the last 20 years, like my mentors of sorts, have said, Kenneth, I'm learning from you now.
Wow.
They're legends in the industry. They're like the, Mount Rushmore of copywriters, and they're buying my programs. They're taking my programs. The legends of the industry are taking my programs, in addition to the newcomers and everything as well, which is just insane.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And I think for me, what's interesting there is, at times, sometimes we ourselves are our biggest critic. We feel like we cannot do anything, or we don't have the potential to do anything. But the key to achieving anything is literally just getting started and having the belief that you're going to get there. Yes, it might take you a little bit longer than person A, but if you have the belief if you have guidance from a mentor who has a process to teach you, if you're coachable, if you're willing to learn, but more importantly, if you're willing to take the action every single day to work on your craft, a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, you're going to be in a totally different place. What a lot of people do is they give up too early, right?
Yeah.
They start working on something and maybe they don't see the 7-figure check after a month into the program, and they're like, okay, this doesn't work, let me give up. Well, no, like you have to keep going. You have to believe, you have to invest in yourself, you have to continue growing, and then inevitably you will start seeing the results that you are sharing with some of your students. Because yes, what we hear is the destination of like, okay, now they're the top seller on Upwork. We don't have enough context about the journey. Maybe their first few Upwork jobs, were not so great. And maybe they were turned down by, 10 customers because they didn't have the experience. But once they started to have the experience and started building that momentum, it became an avalanche, right? It's kind of like a snowball effect.
Yep, that's correct.
It starts small, and then as you're going down the hill and getting more momentum, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And then by the time you're like halfway down the hill, it's this big, massive thing. But the key thing that made that massive snowball is the fact that one little snowball decided to roll down the hill, take a risk, roll down a hill, and get to that destination. So if I wanted to work with you, Kenneth, how can I be a part of this? Because I now want to be a copywriter and get into this high income skill that you're talking about.
Yeah. But before that, the idea of, you have to start somewhere and you probably start from the beginning. Something I tell my students is even LeBron James wasn't born LeBron James. Mm-hmm. The greatest basketball player in the world took, however many years to even just be good and then win his first championship. Like it's a craft, it's a skill, but it's with a mentor, it can be faster. Because figuring it out on your own is a very expensive endeavor. And expensive meaning that it costs you a lot in terms of time, because time is the greatest commodity, right? So to figure something out, right? Because a lot of people say, okay, I want to learn this new skill, maybe copywriting or internet marketing or something like that. Why don't I just watch YouTube?
YouTube University.
YouTube University. But you can watch YouTube, but you're generally not going to get results because one, you don't have a system. Two, you don't know which of this information is crap or good.
Yes. Because anybody can post a video on YouTube.
Yeah. And three, I think a very underrated thing is you generally take action on things you pay for.
If you pay attention.
Yes, that's true. You pay attention. Where your treasure is, where your heart is. That's what the good book says, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think to work with me. Okay, so here's the thing. I believe in giving a lot of value for free, and I'm very generous with value. And you can work with me as a copy mentor or not, and I'm going to give you reasons why that you may consider, taking up the mentorship and everything. There's a masterclass that's coming up. It's totally free. It's called Knights of the Holy Grail. It's happening in mid-June. Kuda has the link, the special link to send you.
Yeah, the link will be posted below in the description.
Yeah, and it's just 5 days of pure wisdom and content that if you already implement, you will transform your life. And I can give you examples of people who took the free training, either this or some other of my free trainings. One of them took my training, implemented it, and this is the free training. And let me give you 2 examples. This is crazy. One took the training, took the free training, implemented it immediately, went from being a local speaker to an international speaker in literally overnight. Like he went from Singapore to the whole region overnight because he took the way I've written a certain social media post, he adapted it, he changed it, he put it online, boom. Overnight, that happened. And it was because of
I want to do that.
Yes. Yeah. I can pass it to you. Like, my frameworks are incredibly powerful. Another one took my framework, and he just took my funnel and he copied my funnel, and he basically made enough to pay for my programs before the launch. he actually implemented.
He used the free frameworks to fund the actual program, which I think is a key lesson there. A lot of people spend a lot of time focusing on resources, or in this case, the lack thereof. But if you spend a lot of time focusing on you don't have the money, you don't have this, you don't have that, you miss on being resourceful, because there's a difference, right? Where it's okay for you to recognize, like, okay, I might not have the money in the bank right now, but you still have the ability to be resourceful enough, right, to do what he's talking about, i.e. leveraging some of the free frameworks, or you could do like a quick side hustle gig or whatever. Like, you can be resourceful to figure out how to get the resources you need to take you to that next level, because you're going to need to get to that next level. You're going to need to invest your time, your energy, money, and so forth and so forth. But if you're in this mindset where you're not willing to break kind of like what you see and go beyond that, you'll always be stuck in that same place. So you always see that whenever you're ready to go to that next level, there's always going to be that disruption that needs to happen mentally, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, in order for you to go there, right? You just don't, wake up from point A to point B, but there's a lot that needs to happen. So I think the key takeaway here that I want you guys to think about is you can always be resourceful and figure out a way to cobble things up and get into a program that will change the rest of your life.
That is true. And it's happened for so many people. I think one of the things that that made me like, wow, so moved and so touched was I started collecting all my testimonials. Like, I generally don't collect my testimonials, and I gather all of them. There's actually a testimonial wall somewhere. Like, it's on attentionempire.com/proof or something. And it has every single testimonial, every single praise, every single, has like hundreds that are there. And it's amazing.
You said it's online. You put it online now?
Yes. It's attention.com/proof, PROOF.
I'll go check it out.
Yeah, just have a look and see. Look at endless, and it's not. I lost like a third of them. It's so many of them. There's a third. I still need to put it up. Like, because I got like Oscar-winning filmmakers and stuff actually giving me testimonials, and I don't know where I put them. Like,
wow.
so I need to put those there as well. Like, it's just crazy. The kind of things that the kind of impact that's been happening with the principles. And the thing about, there's a community as well. Like, the community is growing. It's people meet with each other. They form accountability groups. They do business with one another. Like, it's just an ecosystem. And I structure it as an ecosystem because I find that the real world can be very cruel, and the real world can be very, very cynical, right? Like, there's a lot of things. Like, there's a lot of either business people that are very unscrupulous, or people are very unkind, and I decided, let's create a planet, Kenneth. And WYODC is an ecosystem where people who are capitalists in nature, that means they recognize the value of money, because money brings impact, right? So, and these impact-minded people forming a movement together so that we can do cool stuff together now and in the future. And it's my great pleasure. Yeah. And it's just my great pleasure to see people flourishing. And I think that's really all I want for people in WYODC to flourish, to really just be better than they were prior, after, better than they were before. And that's the catalyst of change, being WYODC.
All right. So folks, the link is below. You get all the details on how you can be part of this free workshop. And then in that free workshop, you get to learn some of these techniques, but more importantly, learn how you can be part of this ecosystem where you can learn a high income skill set that can just enable you to live the life of your dreams, right? Because we're talking about money being something that can solve a lot of problems, right? If you change your wealth vehicle, right, your income vehicle, where you now don't necessarily have to always be trading your time for money, or let's say you still are trading your time for money, but you're trading it at a higher rate, it means that you can now do more things with your time because you don't have to trade a bunch of your time to get the same amount of money, right? So like, let's say if you're making 20 bucks an hour, in order for you to make $1,000, you're going to need to trade 50 hours, right? But if you learn a high income skill where your hourly rate now is $500 or even $1,000 an hour, you now only need to trade an hour to get that same $1,000, which then means that you now have the other 23 hours to do what you please, right? If you want to make more, you can work a few more hours and make exponentially more than before. So it's all about just shifting the lane, because in a highway, you could be driving in the slowest lane, or you can switch and get into the HOV lane where you can just speed through everything and get to your destination faster. So Kenneth, any last words you want to share before we head out?
Yeah, so this is the last word that I share in most of my podcasts. And that is really the spirit of WYODC. I think stop depending on the governments, stop depending on external forces, because a lot of time things don't, I'm not trying to be cynical, but a lot of times things don't change just because the higher ups just like things the way they are, right? Like
They've created a system that works.
They created a system that works in their favor. And if you rely on them to somehow give you their scraps, or you rely on them to magically change, then you're in trouble, because the whole thing that you need to think of is not what people should do, it's what people will do.
Yep.
We often live in terms of the should do's, that people should do this, should do that, the government should do this, our employer should do this, I deserve this and they should reward me, everything. But it's not should, because what will they do? Will they reward you? Will the government change? Will the taxes be in your favor? It's not in your favor right now, by the way, in the States. I know that because of the new taxes and everything. Yeah.
I actually do have a point after you finish. So finish your point and then I'll close with a thought, but keep going. You actually sparked a thought in my mind.
Yep. Awesome. So really, you need to develop the skills, the mindset, the resilience, the tenacity to write your own damn check. And what I'm giving you in the 5-day training, not only is it free, I'm giving you the tools to actually WYODC, to write your own damn check, so you don't have to rely on the so-called kindness or unkindness of strangers. It is, your destiny is at stake. Life is too short for inferior frameworks and inferior vehicles. Let me show you a better, faster, quicker way to reach your success and your potential, your destiny a whole lot quicker. Over to you, Kuda.
Yeah. One thing I just wanted to share in closing is that sometimes, people, we get passionate about the things government should do, and sometimes our ideas might actually be great ideas. But because perhaps we're not at the income threshold to be able to influence the decision makers, right? Your voices are not heard. So one of the things about changing your wealth vehicle and actually figuring out a way to become more, wealthy sooner is that you will then be able to actually be in a position to positively influence, the decision makers, right? So that's something else that you should think about if you're really passionate about driving change. But the more important underlying thing, it's not about influencing people, but it's about influencing your own life. What you can do for yourself, for your family, for the people that you love, and also the impact you want to make in the world, right? Because that's what you can control. The politicians and whatnot, they can do their own thing, but if you control your own little universe by changing it, You can give back, you can give your kids the life
Yeah.
of their dreams, and you can also live the life of your dreams. But it takes you taking that leap of faith and also, taking the, action to get you to where you want to be. Kenneth, thank you so much for your time. And, I really admire you and the work that you're doing. And I know you and we still need to collaborate on a project in Zimbabwe pretty soon.
Yes,
So
let's
that
do
we
that,
can go
man.
out there and change some lives. But
Yeah.
I wish you all the best in your upcoming launch, and the details are going to be below for those of you who want to join this free workshop. And once you join it, make sure you always circle back with Kenneth and myself to tell us how the tools that Kenneth is going to walk you through have changed your life, because we always want to know that we're making we're bringing this message to people who then take action, and we want to understand the impact that the action you take makes on your life. So thank you so much, Kenneth, for joining.